Good afternoon. So I'm here with another unboxing review. This is the other pistol that I got from DI Leisure when I got the break barrel Uzi. So this is the Gamo Compact. Okay, it's obviously a 177 target pistol. There's some information on the back as well. Okay, and basically I got this for my wife to use because I've got my Steyr LP2. So I thought, well, maybe she'd like me, take up target shooting. So she had a go at this, and she's actually started to get it on target, which takes a fair bit of practice at 10 metres one-handed, obviously. So I'm just going to do a quick unboxing review and show you this pistol and what I think of it. So these retail for about $190 in UK. So you say 200 and the Steyr is a 1400, so it's a seventh of the price of a Steyr. So obviously you're not going to get a Steyr type trigger, and So this is a pneumatic, single shot pneumatic, like the HW40, sorry not 45, 75, sorry, HW75, which is single shot pneumatic. Obviously that doesn't have any illuminated sights on it, like glow sights that the 45 has, because they're not allowed in target shooting anyhow. So that's why you'll find there's no actual white marks or any true glow on these sort of target pistols. Okay, so basically I'm going to run you through this. The manual is very basic, shall we say. It tells you a bit of information at the front, okay, and then you've got obviously Spanish, because there's Gamo, which is obviously Spanish, and then there's just one page of basically information, which is, well, it does say, do not press the grey knob when the gun's cocked. And that's the actual release at the back, at the bottom. That's probably the only real warning you need to worry about. Probably damage it, I don't know. It doesn't say white. So anyhow, going back to the actual pistol. So this is the actual Gamo Compact. Single shot pneumatic. You obviously can dry fire these. This is the grey button they're talking about. You press this in and this releases the actual top like that, okay? And then if you actually cock it partially, you hear a click. You've actually cocked the trigger sear. So if you close it back down, you can actually just practice fire this. It does kick out a little bit of air, obviously, but not much. In fact, you can just feel it that far away. Tiny little puff of air. I mean, it is a tiny little puff. Yeah, it's not going to like go through your hand or anything like that. So obviously, fully cock it. Press that button in again. Cock it all the way. Yeah. Your pellet goes in the top of the barrel. You can see that in this light, just at the top there. Okay. Pop your pellet in there. Close it. Make sure you don't put your fingers on the rear sights. Not too difficult to cock, and then you can take the shot. Now, I'll just point out this trigger, right? Okay, you've got a small amount of first stage. Yeah, there's not a lot. It's not adjustable. Okay, and then if you put it the rest of the way, it fires. Now, the trigger pull out of the box is very heavy, and there's no adjustments for the second stage weight or release. Okay, so you can't adjust the sear, you can't adjust the weight of the trigger. So it's a very, very basic. There is a screw down here that apparently adjusts the actual trigger position. Yeah, or some say it's a sear. Now, obviously, it doesn't say anything about it in the manual. I've only learnt this from watching a couple of YouTube videos on trigger modifications for this. Yeah. Now, I did put a spring balance on this, on this trigger, and it was about just over 2 kilos on my spring balance, which is a lot. Okay, obviously a target pistol, ISSF target pistol trigger, I think is between 5 and 550 grams, something like that. So that'd be about a quarter of what this is. Now, according to a lot of YouTube, have done mods on this trigger. Some have taken the sear out, the trigger sear out, and polished it, lubricated it, and half that weight, so about a kilo and 1.2 kilos, and then they actually changed the trigger spring, the actual this spring here, this bit, and that reduced it to about 580, which is obviously great. So I think what I shall do this, I don't think another video shows the guy just changing the spring, and that worked as well. So what I should probably do is soon get a replacement spring for that trigger spring, reduce the strength of it, and get it down to about 600 or 700 grams, which is more than good enough. Because the thing about shooting one-handed outstretched is if you've got that extra weight on the trigger, you've got a chance of pulling it left and right when you're pulling the trigger, okay? And it makes a big difference with the Steyr LP2, which is really lovely trigger, obviously. It's just touch it and yeah, it's just perfect, yeah. And that's what makes them so accurate. This thing actually is fairly accurate, okay? I'll just tell you a bit of the specifications, right? I put it through the Crony when I first got it. Did clean the barrel. Used some R10 matches. This is what I use in my Steyr, okay? And what I was getting over 10 shots, these are 7-grain pellets by the way, it was averaging 2.06 foot-pounds energy, 365 FPS velocity average, and its spread was only 2 FPS over 10 shots. So it is very consistent, yeah. Obviously it's about 1.9 foot-pounds down on the Steyr, but this is a pneumatic. But it doesn't really make a big difference at 10 meters. Yeah, I mean, wind might affect it a bit more. Obviously, looking at targets, right? So obviously, I tried the R10 target. Now all these targets were taken semi-rested off the front of a bag, so there was a bit of movement. Obviously, using those sights at 10 meters. Now this one was taken in the calm. That was 10 shots with the R10s, obviously. So I wasn't completely still, so that's not bad. If you shot this obviously clamped, yeah, pistol clamped like some people do to set them up, then you'd probably get a grip. Now even though that did score 95, yeah, from 10 shots. I also bought these as well. I bought these other RWS, they're called Molybdemun, I think they're pronounced. And they're basically an RWS pellet, very similar to the R10 I think, but a lot cheaper. I say a lot cheaper, a pound cheaper per tin. And they actually group pretty well as well. This is the performance of them, but this was breezy. That was fairly calm with the R10. This was breezy, it was quite gusty. So yeah, that's why I think they group to one side, okay? And also, same with these are really cheap pellets, these Velocipels, yeah. And I shot them as well, and it was same sort of conditions as the previous pellet, and they grouped pretty well, but again, the wind was blowing, yeah. And that's 10 meters, sort of semi-rested. So, as pellets go, yeah, obviously the R10s are probably the best pellet match, but I think these Krugans are pretty good. I spent some time in Germany in the 90s and the 80s and the 90s, and yeah, do you think I'd be able to read that? But obviously not. So yeah, pistol wise, yeah, I think it's a good starter pistol. One thing I do really like about it as well is you can actually adjust the actual rear V, adjust it for your eye. You can widen that V, that rear V, and it's this screw here. So if you adjust that, it'll open and close that rear V. So you can actually set it up so the foresight sits perfectly where you want it, and that's a really good idea. Build wise, yeah, you've got metal here. This is plastic trigger guard. Obviously, you've got a wooden grip. You've got an adjustable palm here, so you can adjust it up and down. Now, I've got medium hands, and it's sort of set up for me. There is an adjustment so you can bring it down more. So, if you've got bigger hands or a small hand, you can move it up and down. So that's pretty good. The trigger, you can actually rotate the blade on the central post by this screw here. So I'd probably adjust it at some point when I've got that trigger weight right, and probably turn the blade so your finger sits just where you want it, or wherever my wife wants it. Should I say? I'll say it for my wife because obviously she'll be shooting this more. All this is really plastic, but it's like ABS, really hard plastics. You can't really call it plastic, really. It's not really the same stuff. Release, cocking's really good. The piston looks really good quality. Yeah. Hinge points here and here are steel pins, obviously into the ABS. Barrel looks good quality, yeah, the really good quality barrel, and that proves in its like accuracy really. So yeah, for like I said, under £200, a good starter pistol. Definitely need a lighter spring in the actual trigger. Yeah, which is I really don't understand why. It breaks really cleanly, but I really don't understand why Gamo put such a heavy spring in a target pistol, because everybody knows, anybody shoots, well, I don't shoot competition targets, but everybody knows who shoots competition targets that you don't have a heavy 2 kilo trigger when you're taking shots at 10-meter targets, freestanding, one-handed, because obviously the extra effort you're putting in to pull that trigger can actually get you pulling the pistol off target. Okay, you don't want it obviously super light. That's why there's a weight limit, I think, of 500 grams on target pistols. But you want it so it breaks relatively light and smoothly. You know, otherwise, you know, you could be like, you put a lot of effort into pulling that instead of just squeezing it. You having to pull it. Yeah. It may well improve with use, but I think really the best ways. I think what I'll do is you can take these two screws here, take these two screws off here, and this grip comes apart, and then inside the front, you can actually see it. There's a white bit of plastic in there, and that's like an ABS sheet that covers the actual trigger assembly. There's 3 screws. You can take them off, and then you get to the trigger and the springs and all that lot. So I'll probably have a look at that, have a closer look. I've seen it on a YouTube video, so I know what to look for. And there's basically, you've got 2 springs, one that cocks the actual pneumatic system, which I won't touch, and the one that actually operates that trigger pull. And that's what I think I'll be. I know people have changed it, and it's reduced the actual pull weight from 2 kilos down to, like I said, it's about 600-700 grams, which makes a massive difference. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, really nice pistol. You could probably modify the wood. You know, the base isn't the best, obviously, shape. The grip itself, I find, is okay. Obviously, not as good as the Steyr by a long way. But we're talking about a pistol that's a seventh of a cost of a Steyr. Basically, buy 7 of these for the cost of an LP2 compact. So, yeah, really nice. I should be doing some more target shooting. I should probably do a review of any modifications I do to the spring and show how it's done. Okay, because I definitely think this pistol is let down by just that one spring. What are you doing, Gamo? But I hope you like that. Thanks for watching.